Hi, it's Keith Gillespie with the 47th District in York County at the Pennsylvania State Farm Show with Secretary of Agriculture Russell Redding.
It's great
Secretary,
to see you. Welcome.
great. Thank you so much for having us here. This is
Happy
the
to be here.
102nd rendition of the Pennsylvania Farm Show.
102 years, and I marvel every time we do it that the Commonwealth is a Commonwealth show, right? It's not a department show or a commodity interest or somebody else. It's the Pennsylvania Farm Show. So I think that carries with it an extra bar of this has got to be good. You got to represent Pennsylvania. We've got a theme this year of strengthen our diversity, which I think captures both Pennsylvania's history, but also that of agriculture. So excited about it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Lifelong resident of Pennsylvania, and I know you
Yeah.
were raised on a farm. So how many of the 102 years have you cast a shadow here?
That's a good question. So I remember showing dairy cattle here in 1974. Was my first showing experience. I'd been to the farm show prior to that, but I don't know the total number. But there haven't been any missed since 1974.
Okay.
Been here every year.
But so certainly a great history.
Yeah, it's great history.
And how the crowd's been so far this year?
They've been good. We had some worries on the front side just with the extreme cold. But that quickly changed, on Sunday. Everybody who didn't come Saturday came Sunday. We had a little bit of snow, ice on Monday, but crowds have been great.
Yeah, that's
They're
wonderful.
Very good, yeah.
Well, one particular of interest, I chair the House Game and Fisheries Committee, and one thing we've been dealing with on the periphery with the Game Commission is the chronic wasting disease matter.
Yeah.
And you guys are responsible on the agricultural side. How's that effort going?
Well, we're doing okay. It's a frustration, I think, to anybody associated with it, to include you, right? It's a problem we have in Pennsylvania. How do you contain this? How do you eradicate this problem? It's in the wild, it's in the captive herds. How do you control this in a way that gives you some assurance, that you have some command of it? We were hopeful until a couple of weeks ago when the positives were identified again. I remain hopeful, though. I think the captive industry, it's got to continue to do their due diligence and just be absolutely critical of any animal coming in, any animal moving, do that. And they've done a good job, but there's opportunity there. And of course, in the wild population, how do you manage that? Continues to be a critical question for us. So, yeah, but more research is needed, more testing is needed. More sort of, I think, at least on the record-keeping side, and the captive industry, better record-keeping there would be important. So,
well, it's good to hear. Obviously they got a vested interest in the thing, and if they're not being proactive with it, it has some very serious effects on them.
Yeah.
Of course, the concern with, as you mentioned, the numbers are coming in, and it just appears like it's going up exponentially. And the fact, maybe a lot of people don't realize that this isn't something that can be treated with an antibiotic or
exactly.
another, a virus antidote of some kind, because it's a protein, and just so difficult unless you scorch the earth, and
Right.
we certainly don't want to do that with Pennsylvania. But
Yeah.
certainly do appreciate the update on that.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, my understanding, has the most successful farmland preservation program in the country. Can you talk a little bit about that? How many acres that we've preserved?
Yeah, pretty proud of it. So this is 25 years of the program. We're at 500 and roughly 50,000 acres permanently preserved. 5,200 farms roughly in Pennsylvania. So I think of those families that have said, I'm prepared to sort of preserve my farm in its basically current state, minus the building activity, but that land is always going to be available for agriculture forever.
Yeah.
It's a major commitment. And to think it began with a ballot question to the public in Pennsylvania to say, should we? And the answer was overwhelmingly yes. I think that gives us sort of that comfort to know that these are really valued both at the landowner level, but also the citizen level.
Yeah. Is there a goal in mind for a number of farms for each year? Is it all dependent on the amount of money that's available, and of course the amount of farms that would want to be enrolled in that?
Yeah, so there's no sort of goal per year, right? We can tell you that we're at 5,200 farms. There's another 2,000 farms on the backlog list waiting to be preserved across Pennsylvania. So it's going to take us, some years to get there. So it's all budget driven.
Sure.
Yeah.
And some of that, as I recall, at least locally in York County, that ideally they want the preserved farms to be contiguous to other preserved farms so that there's a block there.
Yeah, we encourage that. So this is that sort of balance between sort of state requirements and local. What the state does is sort of identify about half of the requirements for those farms, so there's some consistency between counties, but the other half of the criteria is defined by the county. So we have some counties that give a higher point ranking the closer you are to a preserved farm, with the preference being a contiguous farm. And then you get these blocks of land, right? That's the key.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Anything else you'd like to highlight since you're winding up your week here, or that maybe those that are tuning in would want to maybe stop and see or put it on their checklist for next year?
Well, I'd say, come into the farm show. You'll see Pennsylvania here, right? You see all corners. The food, the animals, the 4-H FFA projects, you name it, it's inside this building of 24 acres. But look at it as a great opportunity to sort of see who's feeding us, to understand Pennsylvania, understand both the people, but also this industry that economically, as we reported yesterday with our new strategic plan, $136 billion worth of economic activity. North of 500,000 jobs. 18% of our gross state product is food and agriculture. That's not a small industry, right? That's a significant piece of Pennsylvania. And then on top of that, the quality of life that we enjoy because of it. Yeah, that's here, all here.
Great. Well, those are very impressive statistics. I want to thank you for your time, and I wish you the best luck and wishes with the rest of the show, and thank you for spending a few minutes with us.
Great to see you. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, same to you, Secretary.
Appreciate it. Thank you.